Hi there. My name is Jennifer Wright. I'm part of the ACPE board, and I'm just here to briefly introduce Joe Yamada, who's going to talk to us about digital signage using Chromebooks and Chrome Sign Builder. So we'll hand it over to Joe.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming to my session. Talk louder. Oh, it's not amplified. This is just for the swivel. So if I'm not talking loud enough, just go like this, and I'll just speak a little bit louder for those of you guys in the back. So as Jen said, my name is Joe Yamada. I'm the mobile computing specialist. Let me see if I can get this going. There we go. Mobile computing specialist for the Northshore School District up in Bothell, Washington. That's a photo of me 2 weeks ago at the Tower of Terror in Orlando. It was terrifying. My kids laughed at me when they saw the photo, so I had to get it. Thought it'd make a great photo for the presentation. That's me on the Hulk ride at Universal Studios Orlando 2 weeks ago. Equally terrifying, maybe even more so. 7 inversions, almost 70 miles an hour, 4Gs. It was terrifying. Kids laughed at that one too, so thought I'd include that. I've got about a dozen more photos that I'll spare you from, but I thought I'd finish it off with the last ride of the trip, going on Splash Mountain. 2 thumbs up. 1 for proving to my kids that Dad will go on any ride that they will. 2nd, for knowing that I won't have to go on any of those terrifying rides again for a long, long time. All right, as I said, mobile computing specialists. My primary responsibilities at North Shore are managing Chromebooks, iPads, Android tablets, and other duties as assigned. North Shore School District in Bothell, Washington. We're about 15 miles northeast of Seattle, servicing the areas of Bothell, Woodinville, and Kenmore. We also cover some areas of unincorporated King and Snohomish counties. We've got about 23,000 students in 33 schools. It's 20 elementaries, 6 middle schools, 4 high schools, an alternative high school, and an early learning and network program. We are a very fast-growing district. If I present again next year, that 23,000 will probably be 24,000 or more. We've got a new elementary that's going to be opening up in a year. We've got a building that's going in between a middle school and an elementary school that's going to open up some space for both middle school and elementary school. And we just recently purchased a building that we're going to use for some sort of a high school. I don't really know exactly what, but we're a very, very fast-growing district. We've been using G Suite for education since 2013. Back then it was Google Apps for Education, same thing. We're real, all of our staff and students have accounts, heavy users of Google Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides. All of our students have Gmail accounts. We use a third-party tool called Hapara. All of our teachers use Hapara. So we're definitely in that Google sphere of the Google world there. We've got roughly 7,000 Chrome devices. A majority of those are Chromebooks, which reside in shared carts, get moved around the various classrooms. We do have some staff members that have them as one-to-ones. We've got some special ed cases where kids will have Chromebooks one-to-one, but for the most part, it's mostly Chromebooks in shared environments. We've also got a handful of Chrome bases that we have in the libraries. Those are the ones that look kind of like iMacs. They use them in the libraries as shared stations or like as kiosks where people can just kind of go up and do some research or look for certain books and stuff like that. Then we've also got a handful of Chrome boxes and Chromebits, which we are using mostly for digital signage. And that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about today, as how we're doing our digital signage. Our digital signage journey begins in around 2014, 2015. When we were looking for an inexpensive way to implement digital signage. Now, I wasn't really researching this at the time. We had one of our instructional tech coordinators trying to help out a school and a department looking for an inexpensive way to have digital signage. And his whole thought was, let's find a cheap computer that we could hook up to a monitor and just have it show whatever we needed to show. And at the time, they were just starting to come out with the little Chrome boxes. And for under $200 for a computer that had a HDMI output, that was a pretty cheap way of doing it. So at that time, we started using a product called Rise Vision. I don't know much about it, but it was basically a digital signage tool that we were using back then. The Chrome box, we basically just mounted it onto the back of the display. It ran through the Rise Vision software to show the signage. But then their support ended back in 2006. They put an announcement up that said, as of Chrome OS version 48, it's going to become open source. We're not going to be supporting it anymore, yada, yada, yada. So we had to kind of look for another solution there in 2016. I have heard, however, that there is a Rise version product currently that is being sold. So I don't know if they changed back to the same company, if it's someone new, not sure. But anyway, it was in around 2016 is when we decided to start using Chrome Sign Builder, because that was a product that was out that Google had come out with, and it looked great. So we've been using it for about 2.5 years now. We currently have about 45 Chrome boxes and Chromebits that's being used for digital signage around the district. Again, we made that transition in the fall of 2016. It had the basic features that we needed. I mean, it's not the most full-fledged system, but it did what we needed, and it was very cost-effective. It was free, and the thing that I liked most about it is that I had the ability to deploy Chrome Sign Builder remotely to the existing Chrome boxes that were currently running Rise Vision. We didn't have too many of them out there, but the fact that I didn't have to go out and touch each one or change each one was really cool. I could just make the changes in the admin console, use the Chrome Sign Builder scheduler to set up a new schedule, use the admin console to push out the app as a kiosk app, restart it, and it started. So we're going to kind of go through that whole process, but that's kind of how we transitioned into Chrome Sign Builder. And yeah, we've been using Chrome Sign Builder ever since. So what is Chrome Sign Builder? It's a free digital signage utility that allows you to schedule and display content across your managed devices. The name is kind of misleading. For those of you who use Chrome Sign Builder, I wonder if you'll agree with me. The calendaring program that you download should be called the Chrome Sign Scheduler, because you're not really building the sign in Chrome Sign Builder. And another confusing thing is the kiosk app that you use to actually play the slides is also called Chrome Sign Builder, but that should be really called Chrome Sign Player, because that's a separate app that's running on the Chrome bit or Chrome box that's playing it. I don't know why they call it the same thing, maybe to avoid confusion, but I find it even more confusing. So I'll say, in Chrome Sign Builder, and people are like, well, which one are you talking about? But that's just the way it is. So throughout my presentation, I will kind of sometimes refer to it as the scheduler or the player. The scheduler is going to be the calendaring piece, which we'll spend some time in. The player, we don't really need to spend a lot of time in, but just know that the player, the kiosk app, is a separate thing from the Chrome Sign Builder scheduling app that you will download on a separate device and use to create your schedules. Chrome Sign Builder, it's not fancy. It's not full-featured. It's not perfect. It's not for everyone. It's kind of clunky. There's several different pieces that you have to use, but and it takes a little bit of time to set up. But once you have it set up, especially for those of you who are using the G Suite, it really is a nice tool to use. I'm not going to say it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but it'll be the best free slice of bread that you might have if you already are involved with the whole G Suite bit. So for us, it works. It displays a Google Slides presentation. That's all we really need it to do. And because our staff members and even students, we have some students who update signs as well, because they use Google tools all the time, knowing all they have to do is go in and update a Google Slides presentation, it's pretty easy. It doesn't really get much easier than that. It's the other pieces that get kind of clunky and whatnot. So I'm going to kind of lead you through that today. So today's focus, how to deploy Chrome Sign Builder and Chromebits for digital signage. I'm going to kind of go from start to finish. And as I said, use Google Slides to create and update the sign presentation. Talk about some tips when deploying and managing Chrome Sign Builder, just some things that we've learned in our journey in the last 2.5 years or so. Some examples, I'm going to show you some examples of use that we use in Northshore School District. And then at the end, I want to have an open discussion. I'm sure I'm not the only one using Chrome Sign Builder here, and as much as I'm enjoying sharing what I know, I'd love to hear what you guys are doing. Maybe have a discussion where you guys can share some stuff maybe that you guys are doing. Like I said, I'll show you some examples of stuff we're doing, go through some scenarios and whatnot, but if you have stuff to add at the very end, maybe 15, 20 minutes, whatever we have, we can have some Q&A and then also maybe have an open discussion on how you guys are using Chrome Sign Builder and what you like and don't like and things like that. All right, let's get started. Things you need. We'll start with the hardware. Chromebit or Chromebox. You can use a Chromebook or whatnot, but Chromebits or boxes are what we're using primarily, just because they're small, easy to conceal, and easy to kind of hide behind a display. You need a display, either a big monitor or a projector or whatnot that has an HDMI input. Then you need to be near 2 power outlets, and you need a network connection, either Wi-Fi or Ethernet. If you're using Chromeboxes, you can use Ethernet. As far as the software is concerned, you need the Chrome Sign Builder Scheduler, and that's an extension that you'll download onto a separate computer where you'll be scheduling when you want different presentations played at different times. You'll need the Chrome Sign Builder Player, which is a free kiosk app that runs on the Chromebit or Chromebox that's behind the display. That's going to play your slideshow presentation, and a Chrome management license per device, because you can only deploy this to your managed Chrome devices that you have in your Google Admin Console. All right, Chromebox or Chromebit. So this is one of the Chrome boxes that we've been using. It's the oldest ones that we have in our fleet. It's the CN60. It's kind of nice because you can mount it on the back of a display. This particular one, you can kind of see it's got this little L-shaped bracket that it came with that you can kind of mount on the back. If you're mounting it onto a wall, you can't use that same spot to mount. But if you have like a display that's on a file cabinet or somewhere else where it's on something, you can use their provided mount to just pop it right there on the back of the TV. Otherwise, we just use Velcro and Velcro it onto the back. Nice thing is it's lockable with a Kensington lock. So if you have a display that's mounted lower in a place where someone could easily get behind it and take it, the Chrome boxes are nice in those cases because you can lock them up. And you can also plug in via Ethernet. So if you have an area of your school where maybe the Wi-Fi strength isn't that great, or if you just want to have a more reliable connection, you can plug into the Ethernet port there on the Chrome box. This here is a Chromebit that we're using, the Asus Cs10. It's smaller and cheaper. It's about $85-ish, plus the management license, so about half of that of the Chrome box. Depending on what the ports are like in the back of your display, it can be kind of awkward. If you have a port that's facing outward, your Chromebit will be sticking out, which is kind of awkward. The Chromebits do come with a little, like a short connecting cable that you can use to kind of get it so that you can mount it to the back of the display there without it sticking out. But we just kind of Velcro it to the back whenever we need to. But a disadvantage here is you can't secure it. So if you do have it mounted fairly low at a school or whatnot, you may find that you'll be replacing it every single week because kids can just go back and snag it. So in those cases, again, like I said, I recommend just using the Chrome boxes and using a Kensington lock for it to be a little more secure. All right, as I said, Google Slides is actually the builder. We're talking about Chrome Sign Builder. We build in Google Slides. That's where you create the content to be displayed. Chrome Sign Builder, the scheduler, as I explained, that creates the schedule for the content to be displayed. And Chrome Sign Builder, the kiosk app, is the player. That's the kiosk app that runs the presentation on the Chromebit or Chromebox. All right, as I mentioned before, it is kind of a clunky process, and so I'm going to kind of break it down into 3 main areas, the 3 main pieces that you need in order to get Chrome Sign Builder to work. The first is creating a presentation in Google Slides. I'm not going to show you how to do that. I'll assume that most of you have done it before, or if you haven't, I'm sure there are plenty of YouTube videos and other tutorials that'll show you how to make a Google Slides presentation. But I will offer some tips. There are definitely some tips when you are creating a slides presentation, things you may want to consider when creating digital signage for Chrome Sign Builder. The second part is using Chrome Sign Builder, the scheduler, to configure a schedule to display your digital sign. You'll basically create your schedule, export this config file for the admin console, which is the third part, is where you'll use the admin console to enroll, move your devices into the appropriate OU, add Chrome Sign Builder as a managed app to the OU, and deploy Chrome Sign Builder as a kiosk app with that configuration file that you'll be exporting from the Chrome Sign Builder scheduler app. All right, once again, Google Slides, that's going to be your builder. That's where you're actually going to create what you're going to be presenting. As far as a presentation goes, I always recommend to my users to create two different presentations. First, you'll have your primary presentation or presentations. That's going to be your main scheduled presentation that includes all the slides that you want displayed. Whatever it is that you want, this is the stuff that you want to have showing during the times that you want displayed. I say presentations, plural, because there are some places where you may want to have one presentation playing in the morning and maybe a different one playing in the afternoon. We have that in a lot of cases in our cafeterias where we want to have the breakfast menus in the morning, lunch menus in the afternoon and whatnot. So those would be your primary presentations. The other presentation that I always recommend for folks is to have what they call the default presentation. And what this is going to be a default URL that's defined to avoid a blank screen. And what I mean by that is if you have your schedule, your calendar, and you've got your presentation scheduled, let's say from 8:30 until 3:30, after 3:30, if you don't have any content displayed, you'll just get a white screen and a message that says no content to display. Which is fine, I guess, if no one's going to be looking at it, but it makes it kind of hard to troubleshoot if you're having issues of knowing whether it's actually picking up the settings that you want it to. So I always recommend just create a very basic default presentation, something simple, something generic, maybe with like a school logo or a mascot or a slogan, like 2 slides that just alternate back and forth as being just your basic default presentation that you're going to have played whenever you have nothing else scheduled. It's a lot less clutter to have a default presentation versus a default schedule. So rather than scheduling something from 3:30 until 8:30 the next morning, the calendar can look kind of messy if you do that. It's just easier to have a default presentation with a default URL. So that way when you don't have anything scheduled, you'll have something that's very simple and generic that's playing. All right, so some tips with your Google Slides presentation. You want to make sure you match the page size to the pixel ratio of the target screen to make sure you're using the whole screen and that you won't have any weird stretching or shrinking issues. So in your presentation, if you just go to File, Page Setup, there's a little drop down here that you can select and have a bunch of different options. I always tell my users, choose Custom and then choose the pixel ratio that you have for that display. So for example, for 1080p display, 1920 by 1080, you enter that in, hit apply. Your slides presentation will give you the maximum real estate so that you'll be using the whole screen. It won't look funky once you have it displaying. Font size, that's something to definitely take into consideration. When you are doing digital signage, a lot of times people are going to be viewing it from further away. So you don't want to have a ton of information on there. You don't want to have really tiny font because in a lot of cases, at least in our school district, we're finding that when you put too much information, it's too hard to see. You know, when people are either walking by or whatnot. So I tell folks, use a larger font size. Don't make it too fancy. Make it easily readable. You're looking for something to be pretty or to entertain somebody. You want to try and get information out to them. So I try and tell them keep the signs as simple as you can. Give them the basic info and then maybe give them a place to go to get more information or see the office for more info or contact the PTA for more info, things like that. So both font size and font style are something I tell folks to keep into consideration when making their slides. Simple or no transitions. Again, this is not your signs are not there to entertain folks. So having the weird flippy type of transitions or other things. I just tell folks to keep it simple. Don't have too many transitions and don't have that click to advance. Like how I'm doing right now, how I'm clicking to advance to the next slide. I had to troubleshoot one issue where someone had a sign where the first slide played, they got to the second slide and the first piece came up and then it just froze. It stopped, and I had to troubleshoot that forever and ever. It turned out they just had an animation in there that was a click to advance and then they had selected, and of course no one was clicking, so it would stop. Spent a long time troubleshooting that one, so I thought I'd save you the frustration by sharing that piece. So make sure, if you just say, hey, no transitions, just go from slide to slide and don't have any other animation inside each slide. Definitely not that click to advance piece. Oh, and then make sure you have enough time through your slides. So one of the settings that you can have in your presentation, and you'll see where it is later on, will tell SignBuilder, hey, how long do you want to have on each slide? One of the complaints I've heard from students and even staff members with certain signs is they're like, gosh, yeah, the signs are great, but I'm reading across it and then it flashes to the next one. It's too short of a duration per slide. So we tell folks who are creating the slides, give at least 10 seconds on each slide. 10 seconds is usually about enough time to make sure it's not too long, but 10, maybe 15, depending on what it is. If you're just doing like a photo slideshow, you could probably shorten that up to a 3-second or a 5-second. But anything with information where people have to read something, I always recommend to my users at least 10 seconds on each slide, just to make sure that they can consume whatever information they have up there. Presentation consistency. I always tell folks, try and keep it consistent with fonts and colors and things like that, just to be a little more visually pleasing. Again, we're not going to entertain, but sometimes when you have too many different things going on, it's like going to some websites where you have multiple people updating the website, how 2 pages can be so drastically different from each other. So we recommend just use similar fonts, similar color schemes, and whatnot. So yeah, fonts, colors, backgrounds, that just helps to kind of make the presentations a little more cohesive. Publish to web. This is one thing that a lot of users forget, and I'll show you as we go through the process what that means. When you create your Google Slides presentation, one piece in Chrome SignBuilder asks for the URL of your presentation. Some folks will copy just the URL at the top of the screen and paste it into Chrome SignBuilder, and that's not the URL that you want to use. There's a piece where you have to go into the slides presentation and choose this Publish to Web option. I'll show you where that's at. It's under File, Publish to Web. But it has to be shared publicly through this particular link in order for you to get that URL that you will copy and paste into SignBuilder. And I'll show you some screenshots here coming up of what that looks like and where that's at. Oh yeah, you got to make sure you adjust settings, that whole auto advance, start slideshow, restart slideshow. Yeah, I'll show you these screenshots here in just a second. Okay, so this is as if let's say you're in your slides presentation. You've got it set up the way you want it. You're ready to publish it to web. You click on File. You go down to Publish to the Web. This little window pops up here. This is where that auto advance slides every 10 seconds is. You can click on that drop down and choose from a number of different options like 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, or whatnot. So just choose whichever one you want. Again, we tell our user we recommend 10 seconds. Then you want to place check marks in Start Slideshow as soon as the player loads, and then restart the slideshow after the last slide. So that way it's a continuous loop of that presentation. Once you have those things set, you click on the Publish link, and in that same window, this line appears. Now this is the URL that you're going to want to copy and paste into Chrome SignBuilder. That's the one that's going to tell it to auto advance every 10 seconds and start the slideshow, et cetera, et cetera. So just make sure that that's being copied. And if you ever have trouble, if you're working with another user and you're having a problem where your presentation isn't being displayed, oftentimes, at least what we've found out, is that, again, they were copying the URL from the top of the screen, not copying that URL. All right, so that's the slides portion of it. The next piece is Chrome SignBuilder, the scheduler. Again, this is going to be a piece that you'll download onto a separate computer, and we recommend downloading it and running it off of a computer, not the Chromebit or Chromebox that you have on the back of the display, because this is going to be the piece where you're actually be scheduling the times of when you want things to happen. And if you ever need to update it later on, it's easier to work on a station at your desk rather than to go back and try and connect to the Chromebit or Chromebox and update it from there. So first you want to install Chrome SignBuilder, again on a computer other than the display device. You can run it on Mac, Windows, Chrome OS, basically anything that has a Chrome browser. You'll just go to the store and download the app. Looks like I already downloaded here, so I click on Launch App. But when you launch the Chrome SignBuilder app from that computer, you'll see a blank calendar. It looks something like this. For those of you who use Google, this probably looks real familiar. It looks just like the one you'd see in Gmail. But this is going to be the space where you will set up your schedules for when you want your presentations played at various times throughout the day. So there are three common scenarios, at least that we use in our school district for the various schedules. First is specific time slot, so 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. specific time slot, or slots, as I explained, like in the cafeterias having an a.m. and a p.m. multiple time slots. All day, every day, forever. This one's real common where they're like, hey, we just have one presentation that we just want played all the time. Maybe the office secretary updates it once a day or as needed, and it just keeps playing. They're not looking for any fancy schedules or anything. So that's a real common one. Last one is for a set number of days. Maybe you've got a main default schedule that you have as your primary presentation going on and on and on. But for a couple of days, maybe you have shortened class periods or you have some other theme that's going on. So you'll say, oh, well, I only want to have this presentation played on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I want it to be done. So that would be for a set number of days. So those are kind of the three common scenarios that we use at Northshore, and I'll kind of go through each of those and how we set those up and the differences, and show you the differences between them. All right, so for scenario number one, specific time slots, you'll first launch Chrome Sign Builder. This will be this is the calendar app, so it'll be on your computer that you have at your desk. You'll want to select a time slot, let's say 9 a.m. to 11:30. To do that, you just simply click and drag, just like you would schedule on a Google Calendar. Once you do that, a little window is going to pop up. You'll enter the URL from the Publish to the Web window. This is from the Google Slides when you went to File, Publish to the Web, that piece. So grab that URL, you'll paste it, adjust a couple of settings, and again, I'll show you screenshots here in a second so to see what those settings are. So here we are. In this case here, let's say we wanted to schedule that piece from 9 to 11:30. If you just kind of click and drag here to create a time slot, you'll get this window here. That URL place up there, that's where you're going to paste the URL from the Publish to the Web section in Slides. For zone, we always choose full screen. There are other options there. You can actually, Chrome Sign Builder actually has the ability to split your screen up into like 4 different screens. So we're not using that, but if you ever wanted to, that's where you would show the zone of how you would do that. Again, we don't use it at all in our district, so I always just tell users, hey, just put it on full screen. At that point, you click on the advanced. After you paste the URL, there's a little option that pops up that says Open Presentation Options. When you click on that, this little window comes up, and here's where you can kind of tweak some of the settings here. Start presentation automatically when player loads, loop presentation again and again, and then hide the player controls. And then at the bottom it says time in milliseconds per slide. As you can see, it shows there 10,000, which is 10 seconds. So it's already pulling all that information from that URL that you pasted in there. So just make sure all those are turned on and click Done. Once you do that, you can see here content duration. It says 150 minutes. That's that segment from 9 a.m. until 11:30 that we selected. So that's how long it's showing that your duration is going to be. There's an option here for automatically reload URL every. You can do whatever you want there. That's basically how often do you want Chrome Sign Builder to go back to that slides presentation and say, hey, let's see if you have a new version available. Let's update this. So there, I usually will do 300 seconds. That's 5 minutes, in case someone wants something updated. I think 5 minutes is enough time to kind of get in there and tweak some things. Some people will say 600 seconds for 10 minutes. Some people will do 3,600 seconds for, that hour. So just whatever you guys want to do for the reload. The shorter the duration, of course, the sooner it'll update from your slides presentation. After that, there's an option for repeat. The default is once. And oftentimes, I think you'll choose daily, so that way it'll be at the same time every day. And once you select that and you click Save, it'll look like this. So you can kind of see your schedule there from 9 to 11:30. It's got the URL in there. That's what it's going to play during those times. If you don't have a default presentation set up during any of these white times here, nothing's going to show. You'll get that message that says no content to display, unless you put a URL for default presentation, which I'm going to show you in just a second. let's see here. So if you go up in the upper left corner there, next to the new schedule that's there, you click on Edit Settings. This is where you can change the name of your new schedule. Where it says default URL, this is where you can paste another URL for whatever you want displayed during the time period where it's showing white on that calendar. So in this case, what I tell users is creating that very basic, very generic slides presentation, maybe 2 or 3 slides of logos or whatever. This is where you define that default URL. So once you click Save, you've basically saved that first bit. At this point, you could go ahead and export if you want, but you can repeat those first 4 steps there for additional time slots. So if you wanted to have something from 12 p.m. until 2:30, you could do that, follow the exact same steps that you did, and afterwards export the configuration file. And that's what I'll show you here next. In this case here, we had originally done the 9 to 11:30. I created another one from 12 to 2:30 as the second one, so I followed those same steps of adding that time slot using that URL. Once your schedule is all done, you have it timed the exact way you want it. You've got your duration, you've got your default presentation, you've got everything set the way you want to do. You want to export the file so that you have the file that you will upload into the admin console, so that way you can deploy that out to your Chromebit or Chrome box to play the slides according to your schedule. So first, click Export, navigate to the location where you want to save the file, and then click on Save. Scenario 2, all day, every day, forever. This one's a little bit simpler than the other. Oh, question? Yeah.
Do you know if that default one, if it'll go out and refresh that URL as well? Or do you have to keep going?
I'm getting nods. I've never really paid attention because I usually folks just kind of leave it at that and then don't touch it. But I'm getting nods, so I guess it will.
Mine for 3 years.
It's what?
I haven't touched mine for 3 years.
Oh, really? Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I think the idea behind that default one is just it's not one you're going to change. It's just kind of more of a placeholder for when you don't have something changed. But I should go back and check. I never actually really looked at that. Okay, so for the all day, every day, forever, you'll click in the all day row. So when you got that calendar up there at the very top, it says all day. It's like right below where the days of the week are, and I'll show you that here in just a second. You just double click there. Again, enter that same URL from the published web window. Click on the box that says Show Forever, and enter a reload time, and click Save. So that looks kind of like this. Again, this is your scheduling app. Up here at the very top, this is where you've got your all day piece here. So you just double click in that window there. You'll get this window here. You'll paste the URL, zone full screen, show forever, automatically reload every 3,600 seconds. I wish they had, instead of seconds, I wish they had like a minutes and an hours, things like that. My guess is they probably put it that way because they probably figure you probably want it to refresh at a fairly constant or shortened period of time. But yeah, you can, I don't know what the max number is. I've never tried going up much higher than an hour, but that's where you would put the reload. Okay, so you click Save, and once you do that, you'll see up at the very top, there's that blue line basically saying that this presentation is going to play every day, all day, forever. Yeah. So third scenario, specified number of days. You'll select the days and times for the presentation. Again, enter the URL from the publish to the web window. Adjust settings accordingly, and click Save. I'm going to show you the screens again here. So for here, this is going to be like if we set up something from 8:30 in the morning until 3:30 in the afternoon. Let's say we wanted to go for 3 days. Content duration again, 420 minutes. That's going to be from the 8:30 to 3:30. Automatically reloading every 300 seconds, which is every 5 minutes. You put your start date and start time, repeat daily, and then end it 3 days later at 3:30. Click Save, and it's the same process. You'll just see the blocks there on the next screen, and then you can export that file. When to export a new configuration file. So this is one of the clunky pieces of Chrome Sign Builder. You have to export anytime the schedule changes. So if you're like, I don't want it to start at 8:30, I'd rather have it start at 8. You have to make the change on your scheduler, export a new file, upload that into the admin console. And anytime you want to change that timing, you've got to export a new file. Export anytime a different file is used. Say you wanted to use a completely different presentation, you'd have to copy and paste that new publish to the web window there. A better way around that is just to use the same presentation and just edit the slides within there. That way you're not having to export a whole new file. And that's typically what our schools do, but every once in a while we'll have them want to use a new presentation. You have to export anytime the auto advance duration changes. So let's say, for example, you had it set so that it changes slides every 5 seconds, and you want to change it to go up to 10 seconds. You'd have to make the change in the calendaring app, export a new file, and upload that to the admin console. Export anytime the reload URL timing needs to be changed. So if you want to change it, maybe you have it set to reload every 10 minutes. You want the whole slideshow to check in every 5 minutes. Make the change. Again, export another file. So when you're first setting this up, especially with new users, I think you'll find that it'll be a lot of trial and error where you'll be exporting new files, uploading it, and then after a few hours or a few days, you're like, we don't like that. We want to change it a little bit, so we'll export a new file. You'll have to upload that one. But once they get it set, at least from what we've found, typically they don't really need to export a new file for a long, long time because all they're doing is updating their slides presentation, and that's all they would really need to do. So there'll be very little work from tech from that point on. Yeah, so that's Chrome Sign Builder, the scheduling app piece. Any questions about that as far as scheduling within the calendar and changing those the duration timing, things like that? Yeah.
I had the principal ask, if there was some kind of emergency, would they just add the existing slideshow?
So I'm actually going to talk about that at the very end. It's not something we've done yet, but we've got some ideas. I've got to meet with our security and safety team to kind of show them the idea that I have, and maybe some of you guys have done things too, and we can kind of talk about it at the very end. But yeah, that's a very, very, very good question because that has come up, and it's something that we are planning on doing. And I think I've got a workflow that I think will work. But maybe you guys I can bounce some ideas off you, and you can tell me maybe this is a good idea or maybe it's not such a good idea. Okay, so the third piece, we had the Google Slides presentation. We had the scheduler app. The third piece is using the admin console. And that, again, that's where the initial setup is going to take you some time with that. But once you have it set up, it's pretty easy to deploy from there on out. So what we did, if you guys use the admin console, you know what organizational units are, you know what OUs are. So what we did is we just created a whole new OU for Chrome displays. They really didn't fit under staff or student. We really didn't see a place. We didn't really want to bury them within sub OUs because in a lot of cases, like we're just managing these devices. They don't really belong anywhere else. And since I'm pretty much the only one that's in the admin console, I figured I could be a little messy if I wanted to and add extra OUs. So I added one I called the Chrome displays and kind of listed sub OUs beneath there for each of the presentations that we have out there. Now I say each presentation rather than each device because there are some cases where we'll have 3 or 4 Chromebits that are running the exact same presentation in different parts of the school. And in those cases, we only need to have one sub OU that's running that presentation. At that point, you can just add as many devices as you want there to play that presentation, which is kind of a nice way to expand the sign that you're going to be doing at the school. So, if the school has 4 different displays up, all displaying the same one, they want to add a 5th one, all you have to do is enroll a Chromebit, move it into that OU, and you're done. It's very quick, very easy, which is one of the things I really like about Chrome Sign Builder. So create an OU for digital displays. You don't have to do this, but this is just what we're doing. Create a sub OU for each presentation. You enroll the Chromebits, and then you move those Chromebits into the appropriate sub OU. Okay, next thing you'll want to do is to add Chrome Sign Builder as a managed app to the OU and deploy it as a kiosk app. So this is where we have Chrome Sign Builder, the kiosk app, which I call the player. And to do that, you've got to go to this area here, device management, Chrome management, app management, and then select Chrome Sign Builder. From there, you'll select the Kiosk Settings to deploy Chrome Sign Builder as a kiosk app, and I'll show you some screenshots here in just a second. You'll select the Digital Displays OU where you want to deploy Chrome Sign Builder. And yeah, so this is what it looks like. So a couple of settings that are in there that you'll want to turn on right off the bat here. This first one up here, you want to turn this one on, switch that to install automatically. The second one you want is to allow app to manage power. If you don't select that one, after the default, what is it, like 7 minutes or so, your Chromebit's going to go to sleep. And we don't want that to happen. So Chrome Sign Builder has a piece where if you use this to allow the app to manage the power, it'll keep it on all the time and keep it running so that it doesn't go to sleep. One other thing too, I remember when I first went into this and I tried to click on the switch to turn it on, it wouldn't move. It would just stay there. And what I realized is there's a little button here, or a little link there. This one says inherit, but if it says override, you'll have to click that first in order to switch it on. Basically what that's saying is you're not inheriting the settings from the OU above it, but that you want to override it. So in this case, if I wanted to enable virtual keyboard for whatever reason, I'd have to click override first. That word would switch to inherit, and then I could turn it on. So if you're ever in here and you keep clicking on it and nothing's happening, check that little override button. Make sure you click on that. Let's see. All right. So in this case, oh, actually, I didn't have it set here. So in this case, normally there's a big button right here that says Upload Configuration File. You'd have to click the override button in order to see that. So if you click that, there will be a big button that says Upload Configuration File. You'll click that. You'll navigate to the file that you'd exported out of the scheduler. And then you can scroll down to the bottom and click Save. And that basically will upload your configuration with the calendaring information up to the admin console. It'll deploy the app out to the OU, install it automatically, and allow it to run. Next thing you want to do is to set the Chromebits to auto-launch Chrome Sign Builder, so that way you don't have to manually launch it. Here you'll go to Device Management, Chrome Management, Device Settings. For those of you who manage Chrome devices, you're very familiar with that screen. You have to scroll way down or use the little search box to type in Kiosk. If you scroll down to the Kiosk Settings, there's a little window there. It says Auto Launch, and in that Auto Launch window, you can click on the drop-down and select Chrome Sign Builder. And that basically says whenever you fire up the Chromebit, it's going to automatically boot into Chrome Sign Builder and start reading that, using that config file to play the presentation that you have it set to do. So you click Save. Yeah, at that point, if you've already moved your devices into the OU, you just click Save, and all you got to do is restart that Chromebit. It's going to restart into Chrome Sign Builder. It'll look like that, and then it'll you have success. Your presentation's displaying. That person, you delegate a person or persons to update the Google Slides presentation as needed. Again, if the timing of everything is right, there won't be anything else that you and tech would have to do. It's just whoever wants to update the presentation, whether it's an office manager or a secretary or someone from student council, something like that. They can kind of be responsible for the rest of that. Any questions on the admin console piece of this? No? Yeah.
So you do need a Chromebit or a Chromebox, correct?
You can use a Chromebook. Yeah, you can use anything, basically anything, any Chrome device, because all you're doing is booting it into kiosk mode. And you can set Chromebooks or Chromebases to do that. But it's typically if you have a display up high, you probably don't want to hang a Chromebook or anything like that. But I could see some folks maybe using a Chrome base, like in a library or something, maybe have it turned around and having it display something. That's definitely something you could do. But the Chromebits are real inexpensive, $80. And just pop it in any display that has a HDMI input. So, yes?
So the schedule is saved in the Sign Builder, or when you put a premium schedule, you just start from scratch?
No, it is saved on the computer that you downloaded it to, which is why you don't want to put it on the display device, because otherwise you'll have to go back to that device, pull it out, and plug it into something that you're using in order to update that schedule. There is a backup and restore option if you want to back up a file and move it to another computer to use. But that's why I recommend use whatever your normal everyday station is to change that, or to set that schedule and change it to be something other than the display device.
Will it maintain schedules for multiple displays?
Yes. Yeah. It gets a little little messy because you get more and more schedules there. But for us, typically, at least in our district, we usually have a specific person kind of assigned to doing that piece, and we'll kind of instruct them how to do it. And they're the ones who are updating the presentation. So like I said, if it's office manager or someone within the food services or someone in the athletic department, things like that. So usually they're only managing one schedule, maybe two. But yes, you can do multiple schedules. Yes?
We have a certificate-based content filter, which forces users to authenticate as themselves to any of our devices to get that certificate to get out to the internet. It kind of breaks kiosk mode. Is there any way to do this without kiosk mode?
No, there's not, unfortunately. Yeah, I know that, and that's I know that's a problem. Like we do deep packet inspection, and we have to have a certificate that we can only deploy out to users and not to devices, which can be real problematic with kiosk mode. So I know our network team, they deal with all that kind of stuff. In some cases, I don't think they really have to do it with the signs, at least that we found. They've been able to tweak things in certain ways that will make this work. But I do know that in other things where we've used kiosk mode, they've had to do some creative things on the back end that I'm not familiar with. But yeah, no, unfortunately, there's not a way for Sign Builder to run without that. Yeah. Yeah.
One way you might be able to get around it, which is what we do, is we don't have the users create the slide. If I set it up, we created a Google account, we called it NTPS Signage, and then I log into that account, log in with the password, create the first slide for them, and then share it to the user and make them an owner, so then they see it and they're shared with me, and they can just edit the slide from there. But then if they ever do anything with the slide, I can still get it back because my config files and everything is on the NTPS Signage drive, Google Drive. So it has its own drive, so all my files are in there and everything. And I think the Chrome Sign Builder, I've only used that one time to build my config file. And then I took that config file, made it a default template, and then I just opened that up and rename it to the school, and just copy the slideshow
The URL.
Slideshow URL
Yeah.
is the default.
Yeah.
And then I can have a Chromebit up and running in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, but I think what he's saying is just on the playing part, right, where it's playing on the screen. So because the bit has to boot in kiosk mode in order for it to run. I think that's what he's showing is the display part of it, rather than the sharing. Yes.
It is possible to get around that, but Google has to do it for you to your domain, because they did that for us.
Oh, okay.
We ran into the problem where we couldn't run in kiosk mode because we wanted to use an SSL certificate.
Yep.
Or either else we'd have to just run in kiosk mode and forgo the use of the SSL certificate. But now we are not.
Nice. Cool. Any other questions about admin console side or other things? Yeah.
So this isn't necessarily admin console, it's actually
Yeah.
a little bit more on the
Oh,
scheduler.
okay,
Right
sure.
there.
Yeah.
For the URL that puts in there, does it have to be a Google slide, or could you potentially put in the URL for some like informational?
Yeah.
content?
Oh, yeah. You can definitely do that. You can definitely do that. In fact, I know Chrome Sign Builders will work with YouTube playlists if you want to go through different things, URLs of websites, things like that. It's just at Northshore, the only things we've been doing has been with slides presentations.
Could you have it even like cycle through multiple URLs and kind of do a presentation that way?
I've never tried. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I do know that with playlists in YouTube it'll do, but I don't know about that piece where it'll jump from one to another.
You'd have to schedule it.
Yeah, exactly. You'd have to basically schedule it out. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly. I guess it'd be different time slots is when you go from one to the next to the next to the next. So, all right, cool. Well, I'm going to show you a couple of examples around the Northshore School District that we're using. Again, we've got about, like I said, 45 or so. At this point, Chromebits and Chromeboxes that we're using for digital signage, and that's increasing all the time, and I think it's going to take another big step here real soon, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I just thought I'd show you a couple of photos of different places where we're using them, talk a little bit about how they're being used, and I talked with a lot of the end users out in the schools who are managing them, seeing how it's going, how they update it, how they're kind of doing their bit. So this first one here is in our administrative center main lobby. That's the display there, kind of right up above the first tier. So when you first walk in our admin building, that's kind of off to the left there. But basically, it's got the schedule of what event is happening in what room and at what time. This is something that updates every day. receptionist at the front who's facing this on the opposite side. She's the one who updates this and updates it every day. She kind of uses a table in, I don't know if she's using Excel or Word or something, but she'll update it, and then at the end of the day, she'll just copy and paste that into the slide and then update the date, and that's all she does to update that piece there. But it's been working out great for our admin building for schedule, for this room schedules. Up in HR, this is a display that we have up here. They've got the office manager up there in HR updating that one. That just kind of cycles through different HR related things. A lot of job posting type stuff or other informational pieces there to kind of supplement the little brochures that they have on the tables down there. So yeah, so that one we've got the HR office manager updating that one. Here's one we have in the tech department. Says all systems are currently up and running. This one we actually have it set at a refresh rate of every 2 minutes, and our office manager is the one who updates this with a couple of other we've got a couple of slides on there. But the reason why we have this is like if let's say the email goes down, what she does is she'll quickly update the slide that says, hey, email down ETA 12:30, and then within 2 minutes that's updated, and it's right when you first walk into our tech departments. That way, if she's on the phone or someone's running around, people are walking in like, hey, my email's not working, they look up, they see that right away. It's kind of a quick little status update of any major system outages that we can kind of pop up on there. When everything's up and running normally, we'll have like birthdays up there or little jokes or other things that we'll have up there. But we primarily use this for kind of a quick status update. So if someone walks in to ask tech a question about an outage where we expect a large number of people to come into our office asking about, they can kind of at least get a quick little, hey, we know it's down. This is when we think it's going to be up. And that way they can turn around and go about their business.
We did SolarWinds. We use SolarWinds Orion.
Oh, okay.
For monitoring our network. It's possible with that tool anyway to publish a URL for a dashboard without requiring a password.
That's awesome.
And so we got several Chromebits running down.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Well.
Yep. All right, this next one is actually one that's out in an elementary school, and it's they've got the display in this large mounted box of some sort. I don't know the details behind it. I do know that they had to drill a hole through the concrete and use an Ethernet cable in order to get the signal out there because the Wi-Fi was bad out front. But this is kind of a front shot. Again, not a very fancy sign, but it's just got big block letters of whatever the things they wanted on there. They wanted it to be visible from the street because this is the kind of the area where they drop off their kids right out in front of the school, and so they try and have a small amount of real estate that they actually type out words just to give parents a quick little informational type thing on whatever they want. I had our tech out there send us some information about it. She said here, our office manager updates our Chrome sign builder. We call it the reader board. They update it daily. Primary uses are school calendar, daily calendar, PTA calendar, upcoming events, reminders, announcements, and pictures from recent events. We often hear from parents that really like it and appreciate the reminders and calendar updates. It's very easy to maintain. Simply edit a Google Slide project. Easy to add pictures and graphics. Limited space, but that's a positive as our goal is for parents to be able to read it from the carpool line. So it's been real effective out there at Eastridge Elementary. Here's one at Woodinville High School. Now this one does have a bit of information and some small font down there at the very bottom. But again, it's a large display. It's mounted not too high, and it's in a kind of a hallway, so people aren't going to be too far away from it. So that's again informational for an event that's coming up. And then I wanted to get an example of what their default schedule looked like, and so this is one of the slides from there. You can see it's just kind of a very generic, logo, slogan. So anytime something is not scheduled, that's going to appear on the monitor rather than a white screen that says no content displayed. Yeah.
For the outside one, so that's just a regular monitor with a Chromebits button.
Yeah.
And so how does it keep from fogging over? I've been wanting to put up a reader board that's not those big honking LED lights, those old school reader boards.
Uh-huh.
Like how do you weatherize it for outside?
Well, this is indoors. This particular one here is indoors. Oh, the previous one. This guy here. Yeah, this is a special box. I could get that the information from them if you want a specific model. But I do know that they loved that case because they wanted to have something outdoors. Yeah, I'm not sure the model or make of it, but it's designed to keep it weatherproofed, and apparently it's been doing a good job. I haven't heard that they've had to replace it, in the last 2 years they've been using it. So yes.
Kind of thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
We all have, at least, or know somebody that has the car with the faded headlights on them.
Yeah.
Buff it out, put a real nice clear coat over it, and buff it again.
Sure. That's a good. Yeah, it's a good idea.
With the protection on top of it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. Yes.
Do you have any of them that pull data from other sources automatically, so if you had a Twitter feed that would come in through to into your slide, instead of having to go back and manually update that slide, is there a way to so if you're updating your calendar,
I gotcha. Yeah. We haven't done anything like that. I mean, I'm sure there could probably be a way. You're thinking like some sort of auto, like a sync feature or an import of some sort, or
or just that Twitter feed that you're putting on emergency information.
Well, maybe. Well, let's see. Well, I guess that'd be more of a website.
Google Apps
Yeah.
Script.
An app script, maybe. Yeah, probably something like that. Probably do it. Yeah, it's a good idea. Okay, that one. Let's see what else. All right, here's Timbercrest Middle School. This is in their commons. They've kind of got it mounted up high. So at this particular school, they kind of split up. They have the slideshow shared out to several different folks, mostly in the office, but also in other places. And each person is kind of responsible for their slide. So we have one person who takes care of the main slide. We have a counselor that takes care of a slide. We have the secretary who does all the birthdays for that day, and et cetera. So they kind of divide it up so that one person is responsible for updating one particular slide. It says here, slideshow purpose. At Timbercrest, it usually displays 2 Timbercrest identification slides, along with student birthdays for the week, Wolf ticket recipients, and the pizza party winner for the previous month, activity bus info, and a counseling slide. If more important events are coming up, then some slides might be skipped in order to shorten the show. So it sounds like they'll have like a main slide that looks like it's the start of a slide, but they'll have it at the beginning and then right in the middle to kind of break it up into 2 sections. It's kind of what it sounds like to me. I took another photo in that commons from further away, just to kind of show you. If you want it to be visible from further away, smaller font is not gonna you won't be able to see it from this far away. So depending on where you're deploying that screen, you may if you want to take that into consideration as far as how much or how little information you have. I don't know with that one in particular. Yeah, you can see this. You can see the door right here, so it's a little wider than a door. Yeah, maybe a 60. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. All right. This one here is at our newest high school, North Creek High School. They spend a lot of time making their signs look very attractive, very beautiful, and I really like the way they've done this. In fact, when they built the school, they had this area kind of built specifically to house a digital display. Think about all the money that they're spending into all this to make it look amazing, and then they're using a little $85 Chromebit to run the actual signage pieces. It's actually kind of cool. But yeah, this is one example. They call it the Apex. They have a whole bunch of information that they post on those, and they have this Apex in all 3 of their buildings. So 3 Chromebits running the same presentation. Let's see. The person there says, we use Sign Builder for our 3 Apex screens to communicate information in all 3 buildings using Chromebits. It's owned by one of the principals and myself, and we do give edit access to a few people, like a couple of students in ASD leadership. For the most part, if people want to add a slide in, they'll create it in Google Slides with a 16:9 format, and then give me access to that file. Then I copy the slide, open the Apex slide deck, and paste it in. Their library also has a similar slide deck that they use to point people to resources or broadcast did you know type information. So I think I got another picture there. So yeah, this is an example of where they have some basic information about what's going on there, and then they put a QR code just to send them to where they could get more information or where they need to add stuff. I thought that was kind of a cool way of using that. Yeah, so that's that. Let's see here. Oh yeah, and this was another thing I thought was kind of cool there. Same place. need something announced, email us to get an announcement over the intercom or a slide on the Apex, and it gives an email address. So that's how folks want to add to that. They can email that, and that's where our STS will add it to and get that updated.
So it looks like that's showing the controls for the slideshow in the corner.
Yeah, I think it must have just refreshed. So after that 5-minute duration, when that first slide kicks up, it appears for a brief moment, and then it'll disappear again. I must have just caught it at that moment. Because yeah, if you look at the other ones, they're not showing on those ones. So yeah, so just for a brief moment, it'll appear and then it'll disappear again. All right, I'm just going to show you one more place where we're using them. I'm not going to show you all 40 some odd places that we're doing it. This last one is the one that I'm most excited about because it's something that we're planning on expanding here in the very near future. It has to do with our cafeteria at Kenmore Middle School in this case. You can see above each of the lines that we have here, we've got a display for 4 different things. And the cool thing about that is that they can, kids can kind of line up according to where they want to go, and the food services is updating these slides as needed. So like in this case here, you've got your grab and go and pizza line, and you've got your deli sandwiches line. When it flips, it says, Monday through Friday, and it says grab and go, and it shows kind of all the things that they're serving in that line. Again, Monday through Friday, and the build your sandwich, here are your choices that you have. So those two aren't going to change from Monday through Friday. On the other side, they've got the grill and the specials, and that's a place where they do change those frequently. So in this case, this was on a Friday. So their Friday lunch, they've got hot off the grill. They got your cheeseburger with fries, your chicken, your fish burger, things like that. And then you've got your specials here. So this is a case here where they have a Monday through Friday, a different presentation and a different schedule for every day. So this is where it can get pretty complex. So they've got 5 for that monitor or that display Monday through Friday. They've got 5 for specials. And then they just have 1 for each of the other 2 because it's Monday through Friday. So they've got 12 different ones that they update. But then, once Monday is done and it's on Tuesday, they can update the Monday one for the following week because it's one of those schedules that's repeated once weekly. Does that make sense? So on that scheduler app, that's that one piece where you say how often do you want to repeat it. You want to repeat this one weekly, not daily. So the calendar has all different kinds of things. They try and keep all of the presentations into one folder. And our hope is that we're going to be able to deploy this in every school in our district and have it so that folks can update it. The food services department can update it. And yeah, just have a very cool looking cafeteria, I think at least. So there's the staff there. They're real excited. They love using it. So this is our first school that we're doing that at, and we're adding more very soon. In fact, I think we're adding one here right before the end of the school year at another one of our schools.
Is that a universal response service? Very excited to use it.
This one is. We've only had it at one, so we're 100%. Yeah, it's going great. It's wonderful. In fact, I think actually it's not going to be the kitchen staff who's going to be maintaining it. I think it's going to be someone in our admin building, I know it's the food services director who's really excited about it. So probably someone in that department, I think, is going to be the one who's going to be updating all the slides. That way the schools don't have to worry about it. They can worry about what they're doing. But they won't have to, the food services department won't have to worry about printing out, paper copies of menus and different things that they post up on the walls. They're just going to do all that digitally, All right, so looking ahead, as I explained, we're expanding Chrome Sign Builder for use in cafeterias. We're also going to be expanding Chrome Sign Builder use in school common areas. And this is that whole thing about the emergency things like you were talking about. So this is kind of the idea that I was thinking might work out and something I want to discuss with our safety and security department. Is if we set up yet another OU, but again, I'm the only one in it, so I can make it as messy as I want. If we set up a separate OU with sub-OUs, let's say we call it Emergency Displays OU, and we have one with just like lockdown information, one with safe inside, one with shelter in place, one with evacuate, all the ones that you want to have. And then we have some signage, that kind of it says, hey, we're in lockdown, do this. It doesn't have to be school specific, but it's going to be district specific. It's going to be a standard across the district. My thought was, we'll set up these sub-OUs, have them all set to go with presentations loaded with all the information that they need to have, but then we don't have any devices that live in there yet. And my thought is, if we come to a situation where, hey, we're in lockdown, I can use one of the tools that I use every day is Gopher by Amplified, where you can go in and move devices around fairly quickly. It's a spreadsheet that you can upload information, and it's very quick to move a large number of devices into another OU. So my thought was, hey, if I hear there's lockdown, I just open up my Google Sheet for Gopher, move all the display devices from that school into the lockdown OU, and they'll all of a sudden display whatever it is that they want displayed. And then afterwards, I can manually move them back where they need to go. But if it's an emergency situation, you guys do it quickly. So rather than saying, hey, we got to find this presentation, open it up, copy, paste, or do anything like that, wait for it to refresh. When you move a device into a new OU, it's going to check back in immediately, and it'll pick up that presentation and display whatever that is. But that's just a thought. I haven't actually tried it. Are any of you guys doing anything like that with in an emergency situation? If you wanted all of your displays in a school, whether it be cafeteria or commons areas or anything else?
That's a great approach. We were trying to Python script. Pushing an emergency schedule to the displays, but that's way more elegant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Cool.
Will it actually refresh to the new slideshow though?
Yeah, as soon as you move something to a new OU, it typically will sync up. I mean, that's when you look in the admin console, you see like the last sync, it usually shows that.
It syncs fairly quickly, but we found that policies don't often take effect until a reboot.
Oh, really?
So it might not put
the new
presentation until the device is actually rebooted.
Okay.
But that's just something that we've.
Okay. Again, I haven't tried it. I'm curious to see if it will. Yeah. All right. Well, so we've got about, 9 minutes. So this is where we have Q&A, open discussion. How many of you guys are using Chrome Sign Builder? A couple folks. How many of you guys are using something other than Chrome Sign Builder? We got a couple of folks. Anyone using them kind of in combination? Because I have heard of some folks who are using Chrome Sign Builder, using like a third-party tool to do something with stuff. Heard murmurs of this, but I've never actually understood it. But anyone else want to talk about a way that they're using Chrome Sign Builder that's different or unique from what I've talked about? Yeah, sure.
As a regular, as a system user, and then we use the extension keep awake or stay awake, whatever it is. So it's really, the schools love it. It's in their offices, it's right in the front. It gives information to parents and kids. But this, I think, is going to make it work a lot better. Except they're kind of schedule change happy. So I mean, I don't know if there's a way to make it. Something that is user-friendly to like an administrator who's not necessarily a tech person.
Right. Yeah, that's where that clunky piece I was talking about is with all the exporting of files and uploading. It's kind of a pain.
I mean, maybe I wonder if there's a way to grant them just that access and admin panel, like if they can only upload to their.
I haven't seen it. That might be something we could talk to Ned from Google about, see if he knows anything about it. But yeah, I haven't seen a way to grant them access just to that area to be able to do that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure.
So if they go in and they change their slide, they have to publish again?
Nope.
They don't?
No, they don't have to publish.
Once they've published, it's the same.
So basically once they've published, it uses that piece where it says to refresh the URL. So that's where I recommend that 300 seconds, which is 5 minutes. Okay. What it's telling Chrome Sign Builder is, hey, after 300 seconds, go back to that URL and read it again. So if you've made any changes to the presentation, it's going to read that again.
Got it.
The only time you have to export a new file is if you're changing the time. Yeah, changing the time, changing the how often you want it to switch slides, or any other little tweaks like that. But for the presentation itself, no, just go into the Google slide and update it.
So then when they go in and change everybody's birthday,
They don't have to do anything. That's all they do.
change it on the one slide, they're done.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what makes it great for our end users, especially in the offices, because they know how to use slides. That's not as intimidating as some other tool, some brand new tool that they're using. So in that case, I find it a great tool for, at least in our case, for them to use, because they don't have to learn a whole new system in order to have their signs displayed. So yeah.
Do you happen to know how they're doing the Chromecast on every one of these projectors?
On this projector here?
Yeah, so there's a Chromecast in that projector.
Oh, is there?
When you change it back to the first slide, that's
Yeah.
showing the conference information.
Oh, right. I don't know how they're doing that. I'm plugged in. I'm tethered.
Yeah,
right
so
now.
if you change the source back on the projector
Yeah.
to the original one, and look on the far side, there's a Chromecast tagged into it. And
Oh,
so
this.
content right there
Yeah.
is being done with the Chromecast, which is a cheaper device than the Chromebit.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to know
What they're using
what
and
they're using
yeah.
for that right there.
I don't know. I have no. It looks like it's probably tied into that Shed app that we all have. My guess, because it's got the times and locations and everything. Yeah, I don't know. I'd maybe talk to JB. He might know. All right.
Is there any way to turn the TV off? I think those are switches overnight or.
Oh, the TVs? No, they have to be manually turned off. So yeah, typically we'll have folks turn off the displays before they leave for the day. Yeah, I don't know of a way to do that automatically. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Thank you all for coming. Let me know if you have any other questions.